music fans out there. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Coda Country Chats. Today, we have a guest artist by the name of Elle Rose. How are you today, Elle?
I am good. How are you doing?
I'm doing so great. Thanks so much for coming on the episode today to talk about your new single. So, I had Cliff Doyle reach out to me to tell me all about your new single, Steal. Now, I feel like the title is short and sweet. Give me a little information about the song itself because I want to know all about
Yeah, so it's a pretty long backstory. It's a pretty depressing backstory as well.
it.
And I think that like one of the reasons why I really wanted a visual, because there was a music video that was released with it, is to further like portray this kind of dark story behind this song. I think just as the listener, like you can tell that it's about, a breakup and a pretty toxic relationship, but I wanted a visual to go along with it to further explain what kind of went on. But even with the visual, I wanted it to be a little vague. So I'm excited to get a chance to talk about actually the story behind this song, because it means a lot to me. It was a pretty significant time in my life when all this happened. So I'll kind of sum it up because it would probably take me like 30 minutes to talk about this backstory. So I'll sum it up short and sweet. About 2 years ago, I was in a very toxic relationship. And yeah, this person was very emotionally abusive, and it turned into a pretty dark situation where they cut things off with me, and I kind of was at peace with that and started to find out a lot of really bad things that had gone on while we were together that I was not aware of. And so, I kind of left that relationship, and he ended up breaking into the community that I lived in and basically like threatening me to, he was staying at my door, like banging on my door, threatening me that if I didn't come out, like yada, yada, yada. So I ended up having to call the police, and it was
Wow.
like a really messy situation. I was like locked in my bathroom for 25 minutes waiting for the police to come.
Oh my God.
And yeah, it was really scary. It's like, as someone who struggles with anxiety, that's like a big fear of mine, is being in a dangerous situation like that, like while I'm by myself, while I live by myself.
Trap.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, really
Scary.
trapped.
Mhm.
And again, it did take the police a long time to get to my place. So
Mhm.
that was also just really scary in those 25 minutes of waiting for them. Because he, of course, he was still there, banging on my door, banging on my windows, sending me pictures of my door, saying like, I'll wait outside. And so the police finally came, and they at first wanted me to come outside and talk with them. And I was like, no, this is why I called you guys here. I don't feel safe around this person.
Right. Yeah.
So
Right.
yeah, that was strange. But then they ended up coming in, just the officer, and talked with me, and basically they were like, this person seems really unstable. In this type of situation, we would highly recommend getting an order of protection. And at the time, I had no idea what that was. I'd never dealt with anything like this or domestic
Yeah.
violence situations. So I was just, like, okay, I'll go through with that. At this point, I don't feel safe in my own home. Like, I feel extremely violated as a woman that lives by myself. Like, this is my safe space, and I feel violated now. I don't even feel like I could stay at my house. I'm
Yeah.
terrified of this person. So I ended up going forth with filing the temporary order of protection, and that got approved. And so, if you all don't know what happens after that, I don't really know why you would, but you then have to go to court with the person and testify against them. So I ended up having to go to court and like facing this person that not only am I heartbroken over this breakup, but now I'm traumatized. And yeah, I had to testify against him in court in front of a judge. and it was really leading up to it was pretty scary, but I would like to say that while I was in that moment, it was one of my proudest moments
Yeah.
because I did end up winning and getting that order of protection against him. And yeah, that was a pretty crazy moment for me, like a really, really proud moment for me. And a big relief, obviously, to have protection over this person that I was really, really afraid of at this point. So then, of course, part of my healing journey as a songwriter is then to write about this and make music about it. So I went to my co-writers, who are some of my best friends, Claire Flint and Sydney Matlock.
Mm-hmm.
And we sat down for like a couple weeks and we wrote 3 songs that were about this situation. And one of them ended up being Steel. And I love to talk about the title of this because Steel actually comes from this person's last name,
Mm-hmm.
who was my ex. Yeah, so his last name is Steel,
Wow.
and
Okay.
we use that and use a little play on words,
Yeah.
and that's how the song was born. And now, if you listen and you hear the lyrics, you'll hear that there's lots of like criminal references, and that's where all those come from. Is that whole situation. And also with the music video, there's a lot of little, I like to call them Easter eggs that we put in there.
Yeah.
So like you'll see in the beginning, there's a ring that's hanging from a little lanyard. And that was actually a ring that was given to me by this person.
Oh, wow.
And it was like a pretty significant part of our relationship. And then the song that's playing in the beginning in the car is a song that we listen to all the time.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, there's lots of little things like that that are throughout the song and the video that make it really special and really specific to the situation. So yeah, that's not really information that I've shared before.
Wow.
So I'm happy to be able to do it on here.
Yeah, I thank you so much for
Yeah,
being vulnerable with the listeners on this episode. Just because,
thank
like you
you.
said, not being able to share, that publicly with a lot of people,
Yeah,
I'm sure that that's something that is what you've shared with me is something that's very very near and dear to you, very special, very
yeah,
traumatizing, like you said. So thank you for letting your guard down and just kind of
yeah.
sharing with us all of that story because it is juicy, like you said. Oh my gosh.
And it's
This took
scary
I
to come
yes.
forth and like
Mhm.
talk about this, to be honest. And
Yeah.
we'll probably get into it a little later, but I actually live in California right now temporarily.
Cool. Yeah.
But like it felt safe for me to release this project while I'm not in Nashville. And that's sad, but like that's the reality of it, is like I am still afraid of this person, and it's really scary to openly talk about this and release such a big project that's about an abusive situation like this with a
Yeah.
scary individual. So yeah, thank you.
Of course. And in a way, like you said, whenever you started writing down these songs as a method of healing, I kind of hope that this song, this project is in a way like a way to start dialogue for those who kind of experience this too, because that's
Yeah,
you know a lot of women go through this all the time, and
totally, totally.
none of them are like, I don't want to say none of them, a lot of them are not brave enough to kind of
Yeah,
go through and take care of things the way you did. And so yeah, that bravery is shining through.
yeah. Thank
So
you, thank
wow,
you,
that's
thank you.
an awesome story. And I hate that it turned out the way that it did for you, but at the same
Right.
time, like, it's brought you this piece of artwork that you can share
Yeah,
and that you can be proud of. And yeah. So tell me, okay, you talked a little bit about the songwriters on this project, and you said they were really good friends of yours, so I know that they knew kind of a lot about the situation.
yeah.
What do you How and you also said that you kind of created a couple more songs from this too. So the songs that came out of this situation,
Hmm.
um, how did they how how else did you summarize the experience with the other two songs that you continue to write?
Yeah, so it was fun because we kind of wrote them as a timeline.
Okay.
So we started out, the first song we wrote about it. was If You Want Me To, which is a song that's released. And I didn't really ever openly talk about like that was about the situation because I was saving it for the release of Steel. But yeah, If You Want Me To, which is, it's not country really at all. We kind of went experimental with that and
Cool.
made it super, super pop.
Yeah.
Yeah, Brad Hill, by the way, is who produces all of my music. He's a great, great friend of mine, incredible producer. He did like Maren Morris's early stuff and the Brothers Osborne and all that.
Wow.
So yeah, so he did all this stuff with me as well as Leigh Holland co-produced
Mm-hmm.
Steel and If You Want Me To. So we went pretty like experimental with these, like not your typical live studio recording. And so, yeah, so that's If You Want Me To is the first song that we wrote about this. And it kind of started off the timeline of the relationship of like
Yeah.
me kind of feeling like he was falling out of the relationship and
Mm-hmm.
being confused about that. And the hook is, I could love you if you want me to. So just kind of speaking to someone like that won't let their guard down and let someone love them when you really want to love them. And then I guess there was another song in between, but it never ended up going to the studio. It kind of like dropped off. But again, that was like in the timeline of the relationship. And then Steel was, of course, like the final hurrah, the end of the story. So yeah, at first, initially, I thought it was going to be an EP, like a 3-song EP.
Yeah.
But you know, that doesn't always happen.
But
So yeah.
yeah. No, I was just gonna say it. So okay, starting having the two songs together and now having them both out. I guess my question would be: would there ever be a time that you would put these on the same project, like instead of releasing them both separately as singles? Is that kind of like how things are going? Are you going to release them all together, maybe with some more songs on an album or an EP in the future?
Yeah, so I think following this release, I'm an independent artist, so I'm doing everything essentially on my own. I have Cliff, publicist, helping me, which is incredible.
Mm-hmm.
But I think following Steel, since it was sort of a larger release, we did get a CMT placement for this music video, which was huge for me as
Awesome.
an
Yeah.
independent artist. That was definitely like a milestone moment.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, following this release, I'm hoping to build more of a team, and the goal is to do an album. I wouldn't say it would be structured really around this story, but like
Mm-hmm.
those songs would be together, you know, in the project. And who knows, maybe more would come out of it. I mean, I could probably write songs for days about this relationship, but my gosh. Yeah,
Sounds
so
like it gave you a lot of material. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I love that. Well, okay, so it's good to know that there's like a goal on the horizon for an album. So tell
totally.
me, I'm kind of bouncing around a little bit because I feel like I wanted to talk about the single first, just because it was um so prevalent of something that we wanted to get out and talk about. So let's backtrack a little bit, and I just want to know. You said that you're in California right now. Are you originally from California? Tell me about where you grew up. Tell me about how you got started in music. I
Yeah.
would love to know all of those things.
Yeah, so I am originally from Boston, like
Wow,
40,
awesome.
yeah, 40 minutes north of Boston. And my parents are both professional musicians. They're teachers, but my dad is also like a freelance trumpet player. He served in the Navy band for 20 years. So, yeah, music has always been a part of my life, a huge part of my life. It's kind of all I've ever known.
Hmm.
And people always ask me, like, growing up with professional musicians as parents, like, were you forced into this? Like, is this actually what you want to do? And
Hmm.
was there pressure? And the answer really is no. Like,
Hmm.
there was absolutely no pressure to go into music, but that is obviously what I aligned with as a human. And I started off playing violin when I was 4 years old. And I think I've always loved country music and like country music instrumentation. My
Hmm.
mom played Faith Hill and the Chicks all the time growing up, and
Yeah.
that is what I resonated with, which is, it's funny because my dad is like a classical jazz musician and does not like country music, like absolutely hates it.
That's
Um,
funny.
yeah, he's fine with my country music, but
Yeah.
yeah, so I did not really grow up like in a country scene is basically what I
Mhm.
mean to say. Like I had a lot of different musical influences, the Beatles, John Mayer, like,
Mhm.
all that stuff. So anyways, I grew up playing violin and singing, of course, and
Mhm.
that's really when like the country influence started. I did fiddle and like bluegrass stuff on violin.
Cool. Yeah.
Continued that all throughout high school, and then I ended up going to college at Berklee College of Music in Boston.
Oh, wow. Awesome.
Yeah, yeah. So I studied songwriting there and music business.
Mhm.
I ended up only going there for 2 years because I did know that I wanted to come to Nashville to pursue country.
Yeah.
There's like a little bit of a country scene in Boston, but not enough. So
Right.
I always knew I wanted to get out and do country in Nashville. So
Nice.
yeah, I moved there in 2019, like 6 months before COVID.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
Yeah, and then I ended up meeting my current boyfriend through mutual friends who lived in Nashville um, a year and a half ago, and he lived in Washington D.C. So we were long
Mhm.
distance for a year, and then he got a job opportunity in San Jose, California. He works in sports, so he works for the Sharks right now, the NHL team,
So
and
cool. Yeah.
yeah, it's really fun. So I wanted to support him because this relationship definitely means a lot to me. And I ended up making the move out here with him, which was definitely a transition for me because I was very stubborn about never leaving Nashville. I feel like everyone in country music is there
Mhm.
essentially.
Yeah.
So it was hard to wrap my brain around leaving.
Right.
But I kind of told myself, I'd come out here for a little while temporarily. I'd still make trips back to Nashville.
Mhm.
And then in the meantime, I have a lot of my best friends from college live in LA. And
Yeah.
so I have been going there every like once a month, probably during the weekends, to work on
Nice.
music in LA, just to keep the momentum. I obviously do like FaceTime writes with my people in Nashville, and it was kind of good timing because this release happened, soon after I moved here. So I have all that, happening to work on
Yeah.
from afar. So yeah, that's where I'm at. We're hoping to go back to Nashville in the spring. Just depends
Mhm.
on like the job situation. But as of now, things have been like working out smoothly, and it's been cool to go to LA and work with some people there. I've been working with a producer that's he's like in the R&B indie world. He just had a cut with SZA and like
Oh wow.
doing all this stuff that's like not in my wheelhouse, but it's been really fun to mix like his vibe with a country vibe.
Yeah.
So hopefully that stuff will come out soon as well. But yeah,
It's
that's where I'm at now.
it's kind of nice to branch out though and get some like new ideas and new influences
Yeah.
and just kind of yeah, feed off of each other like that. Well, and I was gonna say, like traveling back and forth to LA and then doing those FaceTime rights with
Yeah.
friends back in Nashville, it's kind of cool to see like how songs transpire based on location. Like I want to say it was like a Maren Morris interview or something that I
Mm,
was listening to one time when she was like, I can write whatever I want to in LA because there's no, no holds barred on the, but like sometimes in
yeah.
Nashville you have to like write a certain way or there's like a certain flow or so I'm
Yeah.
sure that
It's
there's
also yeah, it's cool to like bring the Nashville sound to to LA.
yeah,
Because people are so like enthralled with the Nashville writing way.
yeah.
Because it is really specific and it's pretty like, it's down to a system where in LA
Mhm.
it's way more like top lining and like, the producer has a beat and you're top lining over it, and
Yeah,
Nashville's writing system is definitely really different. So it is cool
cool.
to bring that into an LA writing room, and people are like, "Whoa, this is so cool! Like this is such a cool way of doing it." So yeah, it's fun.
I was gonna ask, are you Are you more of like a melody person or are you a lyricist first? What do you think?
Definitely melody, definitely melody.
Yeah.
It's funny. I love to talk about how the majority, I guess, of my songs that are released, I have written at least the hook while I'm driving in my car with like no
Yeah.
one. That's where it comes to me. My song Drive By, like essentially the entire song came to me while I was driving in my car on my way to the right.
Ah,
And my song The Signs, same thing, like with the chorus. So I'm definitely melody heavy. But if I have a good story and I'm really inspired, the lyrics will definitely flow out of me. But yeah,
mhm.
in like a writing structure setting, I thrive on melody for sure.
Yeah. And maybe that's that violin training, like you have to
Yeah,
get the
true. I
melody
never thought
just
about
right, you know what I mean? I love
totally.
to hear that though. So, okay, we talked and I think I read this a little bit where you have like a lot of 90s country
Yeah.
influences from like Shania Twain and
Mhm.
different powerhouse females like that. Who else would you consider to be some of your music influences regarding like the country music genre?
Yeah, so definitely Shania Twain, um, Faith Hill, the
Yes.
Chicks. They were all people, again, like it's all female based for sure.
Hmm.
But they were all women that I watched and just resonated so much with them and their stage presence and their like seductiveness. Like I just thought it was the coolest thing. And Shania, I would sit in college and watch videos of her live like for hours and just watch her as a performer and just be in awe.
Wow.
She's just incredible. And then I would say more current, Kacey Musgraves and Maren Morris.
Yes.
Um, Definitely because they are more out of the box country artists, which I
Yes.
resonate with. As I said, like I have a lot of different influences, a lot of jazz influences growing up, especially
Mhm.
going to Berklee. Like it's primarily a jazz school.
Cool.
So yeah, Maren and Kacey, I love what they've done for women in country music. They've
Mhm.
really opened up a path in a new way for the genre. And I mean, Maren is really the person who allowed me to go into the genre, which sounds weird, but I heard her music and I was like, wow, that sounds like the type of stuff I write because I always knew I resonated with country, but it wasn't quite like the Miranda Lambert, or the
Right.
Carrie
Yeah.
Underwood. Like
Right.
that's not what I write. It was more like soul heavy and like
Mhm.
Maren Morris stuff. So
Yeah.
I really dove into country music seriously when Maren Morris was a thing. So yeah, she's for sure a big influence. And I guess like newer people, I really love Carter Faith.
Yes.
Um,
Amazing.
yeah,
Mhm.
I love her writing. I love her style.
Yes.
I love her voice. Like everything about her, I think is absolutely incredible. So I'm excited to
Yeah.
see like what happens with her career in the next few years.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, talking about career for the next few years, what's your like 5-year plan? If you were able to like, call it like you see it, what you think?
Oh my gosh. I think so. This year being gone from Nashville, it's definitely scary, but I think it's been crucial for me. There was a
Mhm.
lot that happened in the last few years living in Nashville that was like very traumatic, and I
Yeah.
was ready to just take a break from it. I think
Yeah.
it's important in the industry to like have a breather, It
Yeah.
can get really, really toxic, to be honest, and uh, your mental health is really important as anyone, but specifically someone in the music industry. It's
Yeah.
really fragile. So I think this year, my plan was just to work on my mental health, my physical health, just work on me as a human being
Yeah.
and really try and push this release, set goals for when I come back to Nashville. And then the next few years being in Nashville, like I talked about a little bit, getting a team together, whether that's in a small label or a management group,
Mhm.
a solo manager,
Yeah.
getting more of a team and then hopefully opening up the doors to, getting on some tours, some opening slots. Like I said, album, and yeah, just kind of like snowballing from there, really diving into it when I get back, I think is the goal.
And it sounds like a really good goal. I feel like you kind of have
Yeah.
things laid out and
Yeah.
ready, and you've laid a lot of really great groundwork already, especially
Thank
with
you.
the last few singles that you've released. So I
Yeah.
can't wait to follow along with your journey
Oh,
and see
thank
how
you.
things progress. Of course. Is there anything else before we hop off today that you would love to promote or shout out? Like I know we haven't even mentioned your social media stuff, so please feel
Oh,
free if you have anything to shout out. Yeah.
yeah, I would say I'm most present on Instagram. My Instagram is Rose, ELLELALAROSE. That confuses people all the time because they think my name is Ella Rose, which I understand how that's. Yeah, my Instagram, my YouTube is just Elle Rose, where you can watch the music video and some other stuff I have on there. Obviously my Spotify, Apple Music, all that. I guess shout out to Cliff Doyle, my publicist, who connected us. I'm so
Yes.
grateful.
Yes. So
Um,
grateful.
yeah, and I know my boyfriend wanted to shout out, so shout out to him. He really is
Oh,
like my biggest fan, and like I said, he's in sports, so music is so foreign to him, and he thinks this is all the coolest thing ever. So, shout out
that's
Garrett.
amazing. Yes, it's amazing to see you with the right support system. That's
Yes,
awesome. So
yes.
proud. Listeners out there, make sure you check out Elle Rose, especially her new single and music video for Steel. I'm Leigh, and this was your episode of Coda Country Chats. Have a good day. Thank
Bye.
you.